Good afternoon, Miss Lee, the principal of Queens College, teachers, and everybody. So my name is Carmen, and today I'm going to be sharing with all of you some research on what Dr. Jung just mentioned, NAD, some nuclear mitochondrial communication, and last but not least, our main perspective today, aging. So first of all, what is aging? So commonly we believe it's some sort of the accumulation of changes in a person over time. And it is also the multidimensional process of physical, psychological, and social changes. So let's say you have another perspective on religion, or like some dimensions will grow, such as your increase in knowledge when you go to school, or while some may decline, such as your health as you age. So we commonly define aging through a few perspectives. So for age measurement, we choose to measure it chronologically, such as the number of birthdays you've had. So let's say you're 16, so you probably had 16 birthdays. And also some physical traits, such as wrinkles, bone, like some sort of decrease in bone quality. For hair, there could be graying of hair or loss of hair. And last but not least, body malfunctions. So today, we're going to talk about how our cells age. So Dr. David Sinclair, the professor of genetics at Harvard Medical School, did a sort of research with his fellow colleagues on some defining of why cells age. So they believe that it is due to wear and tear, or in other words, the lack of oxygen that cells absorb. So they believe that, when we breathe in oxygen. So without enough sufficient oxygen, the energy engines, aka the mitochondria in our cells, become less efficient at turning physiological fuels such as glucose that we intake, like bread or rice that we eat, into the energy, also called ATP, that the cell needs to function. So eventually, if it doesn't have enough oxygen, it dies out. The communication is like a married couple. So when you're really young, they have really good communication, so you generate a lot of ATP very efficiently. However, as you age, the communication is less effective because you're growing old and you kind of degenerated your cells. So this communication becomes less effective. And so that's why we age. And we don't, when we see an old lady or an old man, they don't have enough energy. That's because the communication between the nucleus and the mitochondria has become less efficient. So therefore, they're trying to figure out some way to reverse or delay aging in human beings. So there's this whole theory behind the fountain of youth, which I just mentioned. And for NAD, which is the main component of converting input, like the bread and rice that you eat, into ATP. So without the NAD, even if you eat a lot of bread and stuff, it doesn't mean that you'll produce enough ATP, because without the main component, nothing will ever happen. So as I've just said, my fellow schoolmate will be talking more about it, and it is also a kind of coenzyme component which you'll need later. And for ATP, adenosine triphosphate, also the energy, will be talked about my other schoolmates as well. So for cordyceps is what my schoolmate will be talking about. It is also called as dongchenghacho, if you don't know that. But it is just this whole really interesting perspective on aging and also on our human bodies. So that's it for my presentation.